This holiday season, find something extraordinary. The Genesis Signature Event is your moment to experience design that draws you in, power you can feel, and space that fits up to 7 when you need it. And every Genesis comes with SiriusXM, 3 months of ad-free music, plus sports, news, and more. Find the Genesis that's right for you at the Genesis Signature Event, happening now. And make Genesis a memorable start to your season.
Before all the algorithm-fed blah and the endless sea of dupes, shopping used to feel more fun. But here's a confession, fashionistas. You can find that fun feeling again on eBay. It's not mindless scrolling. It's a fashion pursuit. And when you score that rare Adidas collab or the Dior saddlebag you've been manifesting, it's a rush. eBay has millions of pre-loved finds from hundreds of brands backed by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay. Things people love.
Can you believe that we are just 7 days away from our first start line of Dopey? Welcome to day 7 of the Dopey Countdown. 1 week from today, you'll be standing at the start line for the first race of the weekend. And today, I want to talk about something that is completely different from what we've been talking about for the last week. The last week, we've been talking about taper and how to maintain fitness and how to not overdo it and overstress your body while still maintaining a race readiness and building that freshness that you need to show up at the start line. Today, we're going to talk about something super practical and something almost all of us are going to have to do, and that is packing. It sounds like such a boring topic, but right now, the Facebook forums are all lit up with this question as everyone starts to think like, oh my God, we are here. And now we need to get all that stuff we've been thinking about into a bag. All right. So packing early has a lot of benefits. Even if you're not traveling until Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, depending on if you're doing Dopey or I'll say it in air quotes, just the marathon. And I do hate saying just the 5K or just a race because showing up shows that you are in the 1% or 0.1% of Americans who actually do show up for these things. Okay, so packing. Packing early reduces decision making later on, reduces stress, has all sorts of benefits, not the least of which is identifying what you forgot to buy, purchase, prepare, make, or think about, and gives you a little bit of time, hopefully, to do that. We are actually going to be driving down from Philadelphia on Monday night after I coach at the local pool. So that'll be fun. It's a nice 16 to 18 hour drive, depending on how traffic goes. And we will be packing tomorrow. And the reason for that is exactly this. I don't want to have to deal with those things that I forgot to deal with. So here's what we're thinking about right now. So one, travel logistics. Obviously, by now you have figured out how you're getting there, whether you're driving, flying, canoeing, smoke signals, whatever your way of getting down there is, you figured that out. You're also thinking in your head, like, oh my God, we are going to have 4 days, 5 if you're in Club Run Disney, of super early morning wake up calls. And I say that extra 5th day for the Run Disney folks, because if you have the extra hours of shopping for the merchandise, guess what? You're going to be there at 5 a.m. again, just like you'll be there on Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. What is the weather? Obviously, the forecasts are starting to firm up. We're just a week away. But remember that the weather in Florida can change on a dime. And those races, I have personally witnessed the 5K be beautiful and mid-6. Okay, so for us in Philly, this time of year, we'd be very happy with low 40s. But in Florida, a nice running day this time of year might be in the 50s. And I've seen the marathon be approaching 100 degrees, which is maybe not the most fun to run in. So definitely as you think about packing, ensure that you have all your bases covered. So if you are wearing a fun, cute skirt for your races, if you're cosplaying one of the characters, make sure that you've thought about like, well, what if it's raining? And what if the weather's cold? Because you might want to bring some extra stuff. And if you have never run with a poncho on, if your solution is to run with a poncho on if it's raining, that's not the most fun thing to do. So, what's your approach? Personally, my approach to running in the rain is I'm going to get wet, and there's not much else to it. And the only thing I do really to prepare differently for the rain is I bring an extra pair of shoes. So I typically wear the same pair of shoes for the 5K and the half marathon and for the 10K and the full marathon, except I don't. I will bring an extra pair of shoes so that my 10K and my marathon shoes are not the same. And the reason for that is because I don't like running in wet shoes. And if it rains on one of the races, I automatically have a spare. Okay. So think about that. If you're doing park days, now is an excellent time to make those lightning lane reservations if you're planning on doing that. And if you plan to eat in the parks during the week that you're there and haven't already made reservations, now is an excellent time to go and check what limited selections are left because there's probably not a lot. But I personally don't make reservations most of the time. I have found that if it's just you or a party of two, that the advanced reservations tend to be very limited, but day of, I've had a lot of success in finding day of reservations as people don't show up. But I've been to Disney many times and generally have very much a it's going to go as it's going to go as it's going to go and kind of go with the flow attitude to the parks. There's lots of good food and it almost doesn't matter where you eat. All right. And then your race day schedules. The expo guide is up. We do not yet know our bibs. However, you can check in the expo guide for what the schedules are going to be. Although it's pretty predictable, the buses are going to start to run for every day except for the marathon. They'll start to run likely around 2. And if you're on that first bus, that's awesome. If you're planning to be on the last bus, maybe you're in the last corral to go and you don't really care about being at the front of your corral, just make sure that you anticipate that there's going to be a lot of people also making the same choice and you don't want to get left out when that last bus shows up and it doesn't have room for everyone. So just make sure that you've got a plan. We've talked about that before. So all these things, they can create a lot of stress. It creates noise in the back of your mind, even when you're not directly thinking of it. It's still kind of sitting back there. So like it can be helpful to just write all this down. And if you wear your watch to bed, you might start seeing right now that your HRV, your heart rate variation is starting to get a little wonky as the stress is affecting your sleep. And maybe not, but it could be. So now is an excellent time to knock one thing off the list and start packing. So here's kind of what I do. First thing I do is I actually have some bins, like the clear square bins that you can buy at Target for like a college dorm room. I have a bunch of those. And I love them because they fit neatly into the IKEA shelves that I have all over my house, most with doors on them. And what I do is, as I'm going through the house, I will throw into there the things that I need. And so I have one bin that I throw my race day clothes in. And of course, we have 4 race days. So you have a decision to make, right? So are you wearing the same shorts every day? And you might think that's gross, but a lot of people might make that choice. Are you wearing the same sports bra if you wear sports bras? And so on and so on. And of course, I'll throw in 4 pairs of socks. And if you wear underwear when you run, which if you do, I have to question why you do that. I'll throw them in. And of course, take out another bin and throw in if you're going to do some cute stuff with your hairs, if you need bobby pins or if you need scrunchies or whatever, elastics, throw those in. If you're like me, I love the Disney races. I'm a big fan of unicorn glitter. And that is a brand I've been using for many years. It's a glitter that's kind of in like a gel-like substance and it's very shiny. I also have started using the kind of almost temporary tattoo glittery things that you can find on Amazon and other places. I think they're awesome, but throw them in the bin. Same thing. I got some hair dye that I use sometimes. Temporary stuff that just washes out. Throw that in. The same thing. Pull out your race shoes if you're bringing one pair for all the races. If you're bringing a different pair for every race, bring them out and put them in the box. As you go through that, you're going to find that you're overpacking, and then grab another bin and throw in all of the nutrition that you think you need. If you are susceptible to cramping, throw in those salt tabs or some other sodium source. And I say sodium, but I really mean electrolytes because it might not actually be sodium you need. Maybe it's potassium, maybe it's a combination of a bunch of things, but throw those suckers in there. Okay, so after you got that, now you're going to go and you're going to put that all down on your bed, on the floor, in the middle of your living room, wherever you have the space, and start going through it. What I do is I start with my race day nutrition. Believe it or not, that is the place that I usually end up way overpacking. And I was looking at a bunch of posts I saw in a number of different Facebook forums, and it looks like you all have the same problem too. So here's a way to get through that. First, you do not need to bring 100 gels with you. There is no way you're going to go through 100 gels. And if you do, regardless of the brand that you use, you're going to be spending a lot of time locating and waiting in line for the limited number of porta potties that are on the course. And if you happen to be in a park when the need happens, there are toilets in the park, real toilets. If you are not at the front of the crowd, by the time you make it there, they're probably just as yucky as the porta potties are. And good luck with toilet paper, which is one thing to mention. If you are not at the front of the crowd, you might not have toilet paper in the porta potty that you select to use. So if you expect that you're going to need them, bring some toilet paper with you just in case, and that you can just stick into like a little snack size Ziploc bag and keep that with you, and it takes no space. Put it in your sports bra, put it in the pocket in your pants, in a flip belt, whatever you are bringing with you to bring your nutrition in, just throw it in there, and you won't even know it's there until you need it. Just don't forget that is there. All right, so what I do with gels, first, automatically, every race gets one gel. That gel is going to be taken 15 minutes before the gun goes off. I'm usually in the A group, but hey, you never know. I'm still going to take it 15 minutes before I expect to go. Sometimes it's 13 minutes, sometimes it's 20. Doesn't really matter. The point is you're going to give yourself a little extra glycogen boost just before you need it. So by the time you make it to the start line, it is in your blood. It's not digested. It hasn't had time to make it too far. So it's all sitting there ready for you to convert it to ATP so that you can make good use of that. All right, next. Every race automatically gets one spare. So you should have 4 piles right now that have 2 gels in them. And substitute gel. I like gels because they're easy, they're compact, they're reliable, they're predictable, and I know exactly what's in them. If you're using an alternate source of nutrition like real food, which is kind of popular right now, just keep in mind real food is a little harder to digest for your body, which is counterintuitive. You would think that gels, which maybe don't have the most exciting consistency, you would think that gels would be harder to digest, but they actually are easier. Now is, of course, not a good time to change what you're using for nutrition, but just kind of thinking about it for your next race. Gels are digested from your mouth all the way down into your gut and don't really require any work by your body because it's absorbed directly into the gut. Versus solid real food takes your body a little bit more work to digest that and convert it into glycogen, which is what you're really trying to get. You're really trying to get glycogen stores just before you need it through race day. Now, here's where things get weird and get a little individual to every single person. Is the number of gels or the amount of nutrition that you need to bring with you is directly related to how long you are going to be on the course and the amount of energy that you're expending throughout that. Oddly enough, faster runners need less fuel than slower runners. And the reason for that is because if I am taking a gel at 15 to 20-minute intervals, which is generally what I do, I will need 3 per hour. And I will be on the course between 3.5 and 4 hours. So at that rate, on the marathon, you can count how many gels I am going to need plus 1 spare. If you are going to be finishing with the balloon ladies, you are going to be on the course for 7.5 hours. If you are taking a gel every 15, 20, or even 30 minutes, you can figure out how many gels you're going to need plus 1 spare. And that is what I would do. Is if you are running 16-minute miles, 1, you are not stopping at the porta potty because you will fall behind the bicycles who are doing the sweeping. And you are not stopping at character stops for the same reason. So if your plan is to set your watch to click off 16-minute miles and to stick with the balloon ladies the whole time, and they're pretty reliable, right? And if they fall behind, they can get swept just like anybody else. But if that is your plan, then go ahead and throw in the number of gels that you need based on whatever interval you trained with. And that is why you bring an extra. Because you might find, many people find that on race day, we overperform versus our training. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Partly it's because you're showing up. You took all this time to taper properly, develop the freshness so that you can perform on race day. And the other is nerves and anxiety and adrenaline. Don't ever underestimate the effect of adrenaline. That is why our first 100 yards, our first quarter mile, our first mile tend to be pretty good. And it's the adrenaline, right? You're there, you're lined up, and you've got all the anticipation, and boom, gun goes off and you start running, and there's people faster than you running next to you, and they kind of pull you along until you can't be pulled anymore. And just kind of a side note, like, don't do that. I mean, I tell my athletes, I'm like, the first 100 yards, do whatever you feel like. The next quarter mile, take it a little bit easier, but have fun. Once you reach like the quarter mile mark, check your watch, check your pace, and settle into whatever your planned pace is. And why I do that? It's because you know what? We're here to have fun. And, give yourself the grace to have that fun, but then quickly settle into a pace that you can sustain. What you don't want to have happen is, go off the line, do that first mile at a pace that is completely unsustainable for you. And then you are going to feel it at the end of the race when your legs are just completely burnt out because you're running at your zone 6 or higher for the first half mile to mile. And now your body's like, I'm done. I didn't train for this. Bam. That is the wall. We all hit it. We've all been there. Do what you can to avoid it. Next, so now you've got your nutrition. And I would posit that your race day nutrition is probably the single most important thing for you to have set up right now. If you lose everything else, your nutrition plan is the thing that you are going to pull out of your back pocket and is the first thing you are going to purchase. You can run in darn near any shoes. You might not like it, but you can run in darn near any shoes. You can run in darn near any clothes. But nutrition, changing nutrition on race day is really tough to do. And even if even a professional who does this for a living is going to do everything they can to avoid doing that. Okay, great. So now you've pulled out your shoes, you've pulled out your race day nutrition. Now go through your race day clothes. Make sure your costumes are there if you're wearing costumes. I'm actually not going to wear a costume this time because I have just not had the time to put them together. So I'm taking this race weekend a little more chill than I usually do, and I'm looking forward to that. So whatever you plan to wear, make sure you pull it out. And like we said earlier, include a couple extra things to accommodate different types of weather. If you have arm warmers and you get really super cold, you might want to throw them in. If you have some leggings that you like that'll fit under your costume and still look cute, you might want to throw those in. If your plan is to just have a B outfit in case that the weather is cold, make sure you've got Plan B outfit in there. And everything that made it in your bin that didn't make it into that pile, put it away. Do yourself the favor, put it away. All right. A couple of things that I like to include just for safe and peace of mind is even if you don't use it regularly, some KT tape is nice to have on you, especially for the women out there. Sports bras, your body is not used to all that movement. All that movement for 4 straight days. You may get some chafing right at the bra line, either in the front or the back. KT tape, just regular old KT tape. I wouldn't use moleskin because it's like really sticky on the back. Regular KT tape is kind of low tack, and you just cut a strip, keep it underneath. You put it underneath the bra if you start chafing. It's awesome. But likewise, bring a little pair of scissors with you, like little sewing scissors. They're short enough that TSA is not going to have an issue with them. Just make sure you only got one pair. They don't like it when you have two. Ask me how I know. That's a long story sometimes. I have a few TSA things that they've confiscated because, I've had tools that were too long and 2 pairs of scissors and, just things you throw in accidentally or not thinking. They get caught. So anyways, moving on, other things you might want to throw in there is if you are prone to chafing, and let's face it, who's not? We sweat We sweat a lot. It's an environment that we didn't train in. You never know. And you may also want to throw in some baby powder for the, some baby powder, some Aquaphor, Neosporin, and some Band-Aids. And if you have never had a blister on your feet from running, that is awesome for you. I love you. But for the rest of us, there is such a thing as blister tape. You might be able to find it in your CVS or Dick's or your local run store. KT makes some awesome blister tape. Other brands do too. It's a little different from your normal KT tape because it's actually super tacky, but it's really, really thin. I have cut strips of that in half and wrapped every other toe before when they start getting irritated, especially on the marathon, because it definitely helps prevent blisters. And lastly, we sometimes don't think about it, but make sure it's in there, are nail clippers. Yeah, how many of us have lost toenails? And I know everyone, every response on Facebook is like, oh, well, buy better shoes, buy bigger shoes. Your shoes are fit wrong. Well, for most of us, our shoes fit just fine. And it's nothing wrong with our shoes. It's a lot of times because our toenails are not short enough, and that constant hitting against the front of our shoes for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 hours just irritates the heck out of that. And eventually a blister forms underneath and a bruise forms, and we lose our toenail. Although, there is nothing more comfortable than running without toenails. Like that first run, second run, after the toenail falls off, it's like, this is great. And then they are so rude and they grow right back. Okay, now get all of that into a bag. Now, this bag you are going to carry on with you if you're able to. You're going to carry that bag on. And that way, you know with absolute certainty that if nothing else makes it with you, if all of your bags get lost, your stuff for the race is safe. All right. Last thing you are going to do is you are going to go over to your wallet and you are going to make sure that your license or ID or passport is in there. Disney will not give you your bib without that. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pull it out and you're going to take a picture of it. And then you can put it right back in. The reason for that is because you might lose it and Disney still won't give you your bib without it, but they will accept a picture of it. So, fun story. I did actually forget my my license at security. Somehow it fell out of my pocket or whatever at the TSA in Orlando. Luckily, it was on the way home. Luckily, it was after I had already passed through TSA. But yeah, it showed back up in the mail 3 days later. So don't do that. I do not recommend 0 stars given. That said, that is your packing list. Get it done. Everything else is optional and for wear outside of the actual race. And pro tip on that is pack light. I love to take a laundry basket and just throw all the stuff in that I plan to take and go through that early. And it's amazing. That initial pass has so much extra stuff in it that I don't need because honestly, you do need a pair of socks for every day, but you don't need to have a pair of pants for every day. And blue jeans take up an awful lot of space in the suitcase. All right. With that said, that is day 7 of the countdown to Dopey. Be fierce, be you, and I will see you again tomorrow. Take care.
This holiday season, find something extraordinary. The Genesis Signature Event is your moment to experience power you can feel, and every Genesis comes with SiriusXM. 3 months of ad-free music, plus sports, news, and more. Make Genesis a memorable start to your season.